U.S. has committed nearly $77 billion in
Okay, here we go.
Here
we go.
Let's go.
The administration is now asking Congress for $24 billion more. Regardless of that, the specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
The weapons manufacturers are looking.
Europe needs to step up. I mean, I would have Europe step up and do their job.
Who was it? Oh, I see
Vivek. Yeah. Hold on.
But you're saying you would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
Would not support
and I think we need to do, and I think our support should be contingent on them
Germany
doing
depleted.
it. And I would have support in China to be able to take China.
Morning Joe is going to be so sad with this answer
Mr.
tomorrow.
Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous. That we are protecting
the audience in Lebanon
an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States of America. We are driving Russia further.
This is
into
what Ron
China's
DeSantis
hands.
wanted to do,
Russia-China
but
alliance
Vivek
the
is going
greatest
further
threat we
left
face.
than he
and I find it offensive
willing to.
that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington.
Vivek, he's winning to me.
Secure our own border instead of somebody else's. And the reality is, this is also how we project strength by making America strong.
We
heard the names. Governor Christie first.
Yeah, he's going to surge.
I did go to Ukraine, and I went to Ukraine because I wanted to see for myself what Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people. Let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. And if every one of them was filled, there would still be 2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been abducted, stolen, ripped from their mothers and fathers.
This has been
debunked
many times.
To fight their own families. They have gouged out people's eyes, cut off their ears, and shot people in the back of the head, men, and then gone into those homes and raped the daughters and the wives.
Now tell us about
Banderai as widows and orphans. This is the Vladimir Putin. This is the Vladimir Putin.
This is the movie
Donald
version
Trump
of
called
Vladimir
brilliant
Putin.
And a genius. If we don't stand up against this type of autocratic killing in the world, we will be next.
You understand? You're not reading the room, Chris Christie. You're not reading the room.
I have a question for Governor Haley. We'll come back.
Vice President Pence was mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, let me be clear. Anybody that thinks that we can't solve the problems here in the United States and be the leader of the free world has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth.
Why aren't we doing it?
We can do
what history do we have of that happening?
We've been the leader of the free world and the arsenal of democracy
that?
for years. The Reagan doctrine years ago made it clear. We said, if you're willing to fight the communists on your soil, we'll give you the means to fight them there so our troops don't have to fight them. Vivek, if we do the giveaway that
this
you want to give
the proxy war you're talking about.
It's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border, and frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive.
Oh my God, he's saying this out loud. I want the Ukrainians to die. He's saying this out loud on a GOP debate.
I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990. You talk about the communists, and the real communists that we have to address right now
is the idea what
let me hear. I want to hear what he's saying.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere.
You've made your
point,
Vice President.
I'm sorry if I insulted him by calling him a communist. He is a dictator and a murderer. And the United States
this does anything. He thinks, what does he think this does? What does he think this does?
Respond. The into face today is communist China. And we are driving Russia into China's arms. The Russia-China military alliance is the single greatest threat we face. Nobody in either political party is talking about it. And I am the only non-neocon on this stage who will keep us out of war.
Mr. Vice President, we can't hear Mr. Vice President.
To give Russia
they cut him off. You notice they cut him off? They didn't give him 30 seconds. They gave him like 10 seconds because what he was saying.
Mr. Vice President, China will not think about taking Taiwan. We achieve peace through strength.
Mr. Vice
And America needs to stand.
These
for
are
freedom.
clowns.
Okay.
These are clowns.
Here we go.
I think we need to reestablish some ground rules
When
here.
we
folks.
hear this bell,
Yes.
that means your time's
We're
done.
done.
So, Mr. Vice President, we appreciate your aggressiveness here. 30 seconds is 30 seconds. Mr. Ramaswamy, you were mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
So the reality is that today, Ukraine is not a priority for the United States of America. And I think that the same people who took us into the Iraq War, the same people who took us into the Vietnam War, you cannot start another no-win war. And I do not want to get to the point where we're sending our military resources abroad when we could be better using them here at home to protect our own borders, protect the homeland.
All right.
That will be my top priority in foreign
I think
policy.
we gave you
protect
more
this
than the 30
homeland.
seconds in the rebut. So I do want to get to some other people because everybody, we respect everybody's time here. So Governor Haley, you did not raise your hand, meaning that you would support more funding for the Ukraine war. You have said of Governor DeSantis that you didn't appreciate it when he initially called it a territorial dispute. Why?
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense.
You have them go die for your war.
Russia,
That's what you do to
Russia
friends.
Takes Ukraine, Poland, and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When
You
I was
know, you don't know.
Oh, I can't wait till we cover that story because I have
is a murderer.
That's
and
you don't know.
a
U.S. that did
murderer
that. I believe it's the U.S. that did that.
American country.
You made an accusation.
Because what was Prigozhin doing lately? He was trying to help him in Niger. That's what Prigozhin was doing lately, and that's why I think he was taken out.
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week,
You want
Nikki.
to go and defund Israel? You want to
Okay,
get
let me
Taiwan
address
to
that. I'm
China?
glad you brought that up.
Yeah, defund Israel. Oh, this is what you were hoping for, Nick.
This one here.
The Israel talk
Nikki.
between these
You're
two.
watching
So the
you make
reality is-
America less safe. You have no
Let me-
foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The
It
foreign
shows.
policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars.
Why are you
about
sharing
Israel.
that?
I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel will never be stronger.
They got
than
APAC
the
everywhere in
first
there.
term.
Yeah,
But it's not
APAC's
quite a
everywhere.
Relationship. It is
How
a
come they-
friendship. And you know what friends do? Friends help each other stand on their own 2 feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed.
What a
But you know
weak
what I
thing.
love about Israel? And I've been there
Yeah,
probably
immediately
in the
back
last 10
down.
years more than most people on this stage. You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime
Nikki
policies.
Haley made them
I
back
love
down.
that they
What
have
a
a national identity and an iron dome to protect their homeland. And so, yes, I want to learn from the friends that we're supporting. And what puzzles
you wanna
me
cut the
is, no, I want to learn from those and apply those to protect our homeland,
It's
Nikki.
not that Israel
That is
needs
the answer.
America.
we
America
move on?
needs Israel.
Okay,
They are
Governor
the front
DeSantis,
line of defense.
Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned in the territorial
They're
dispute.
sickening.
Not only
No, it's not a territorial dispute
President of the
either.
United States, your first obligation is to defend our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people
We can
who
do
are
both
being
at the
killed because,
same
well, we're
time.
not handling
And
both.
we can do
And so
both
I am
at
going
the
to
same
declare it a
time.
national emergency. I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are
Come
bringing
on,
fentanyl
man.
across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do.